Alright, so if you've been following up with the recent dev streams and hotfixes, you know that marked for death isn't the same it used to be. Our once overpowered meta of an ability bringing back an old era of synergies has been nerfed, just like any other overpowered ability would have been. But it's not over. We still have another chance. With finishers being out of the play, pretty much, Slash isn't our most overpowered physical and just element in general. So today I'm going to be showing you a synergy between that. A zero format Ash build. Of course we're going to consist of the abilities, but without further ado, let's consist of the first ability. So Shuriken. Shuriken is actually a very useful ability when mixed with the augment Seeking Shuriken. This allows for the ability Base with no mods to strip 70% of armor for 8 seconds, but with just a little bit more power strength you can strip over 100% of armor. The augment is affected by strength and duration, and with the armor stripping you will allow for more damage towards your viral and slash. Do remember that slash actually has a negative when armor is mixed to the enemy's health, so this allows for even more damage. Since marked for death is nerfed like it is now, the only thing that can really bypass the 50% health pool cap is slash, because after the damage dealt it will keep going as initial slash damage, and that is why we want to make sure our slash can be as useful as it is. But with that out the way, let's get into the second ability, another useful one. Alright, Smoke Bomb, a very useful part of the build actually. This ability allows for a form of survivability with Ash, since he isn't the tankiest. With Smoke Bomb, when casted, you will be invisible for a good amount of time, and enemies within the radius will actually be a little staggered, not opened up to finishers though. This ability is actually very useful, and you should always keep in mind that it should be active at all times. But with this build, if it isn't active, you can always cast Rolling Guard for that small bit of immortality. But without that out the way, let's get into the next ability. Used to be one of the most useful abilities with marked for death, but now useless. We have Teleport. Not as amazing as people would perceive it to be. The reason why is because since the cap is not as good, you can only really use it with finisher based weapons that can proc slash. But since we're moving on to heavy attacks, Teleport is pretty useless. So this ability will latch onto a target, and sometimes, because sometimes it's a little laggy and it doesn't work all the time, should open them up to finishers. With the Augment Fatal Teleport, you get 200% finisher damage with 50% of your energy back, and would insta-cause a finisher, which was actually very nice. But now it's kinda useless, so yeah. But with that out the way, let's get into the next ability. So marked for death. Nerfed, but not useless. Marked for death will target a enemy, and the next portion of damage, from 50% of its remaining health, will then be replicated and dealt to the enemy. Now normally this would be complete trash if there's no status effect like slash, but if you heavy attack with some weapon like example the Pennant, you will get a force proc slash, allowing for, after the 50% cap, the enemies will just bleed to death, making marked for death saved, and it still works just as fine. But yeah, the next time you damage that enemy, it will be replicated into that damage type. Now I don't know about you, because sometimes I'm getting these weird outcomes where like half of the enemies will proc slash, right? But some of them will just proc something like puncture, but the initial enemy that I hit proc slash, and therefore it's kind of like the multi-shot, how each bullet has its own chance of proccing something. But that's just me. Maybe it's just a bug and they'll probably fix it. Alright, so for the build in the aura, we have Steel Charge for the more damage to my melee, Primed Continuity for the duration, Seeking Shuriken for the armor stripping, Argus Secrets for the power strength, Streamline for the efficiency, Transit Fortitude for the strength, Umbral Intensify for the strength, Primed Flow because the Ash has some trash, Energy Max, Stretch for the ability range. Then in the Arcane slot we have Arcane Victory for the heal on headshots, which is surprisingly easy to proc with a melee, and Arcane Fury for even more damage to my melee. Alright, so now we're gonna go see the pennant. So as I was saying, you don't need to use the pennant. I know the pennant is a little grind worthy, but any weapon that can force proc slash on a heavy attack would clearly work, like the Tatsu or or just Nakanas in general. But for my pennant, I have Sacrificial Steel. This is a two-former build, by the way. One is Umbral and one is Matter-Eye. So Sacrificial Steel for the crit chance, Organ Shatter for the 90% critical damage, Killing Blow for the plus speed on wind up and the heavy attack damage. Then I have Corrupt Charge for the combo. This allows for a little bit more damage for my combo, and also I'm running a Sentinel with the Gladiator mods for the extra crit chance. Condition Overload, so that when we proc slash, it'll give me 120% extra, and if it's slash on viral, it will give me something like 240. Then we have Virulent Scourge and Vicious Frost to make viral and get some status out of it, and Sacrificial Pressure for the added damage to my heavy attack, and also to increase my crit chance. Now, as I was saying, you can use any weapon that can force proc slash or just do a lot of damage. Honestly, with the armor strip, you can basically use any weapon, but the pennant is my choice. I just like those huge, unrealistic, shouldn't look like it doesn't look like it fits in your hand weapons. So as I was saying, this is the Deconstructor build, just the Gladiator mods for the extra crit chance, and yeah, this will be the build. This is the fashion frame, if any of you just wanted to know. So remember, you just wanna cast Shuriken first, because if you cast Marked to Death, it will end it instantly. So cast Shuriken, armor stripped, marked for death, heavy attack, all enemies dead. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want me to make more, or on any specific Warframe, I will totally take it into consideration. Make sure to hit the like button. I will totally accept feedback. I like to improve, and I will see you guys in the next one.